Utah Real Estate Licensing Law, Chapter 1. In this course, we will address the basic structure of the Division of Real Estate along with basic licensing requirements. Course outline, Chapter 1. Division of Real Estate Commission, who needs a license? Chapter 2. License types and requirements, license exemptions, license maintenance. Course objectives. At the end of this course, you should be able to do the following. Describe the differences between the Real Estate Commission and the Real Estate Division. Describe the differences between the Division of Real Estate and the Utah Association of Realtors. Name the 3 licenses available as well as explain the qualifications for licensure. The Division of Real Estate. The real estate industry in Utah is regulated by the Division of Real Estate, Division, which is part of the Department of Commerce. The Department of Commerce is responsible for issuing most of the professional licenses issued by the state of Utah. The Division of Real Estate is responsible for regulating all real estate, mortgage, and appraisal licensees in the state of Utah. While all 3 industries are regulated by the Division, each has its own laws and rules which are administered and enforced by the Division. The Division is responsible for the day-to-day regulation of the industries it regulates. The Division is staffed by state employees dedicated to serve the public and the licensees who fall under the jurisdiction of the Division. For example, all real estate licensee applicants submit their license applications to the Division staff for processing. Division staff review the application for accuracy and completeness and issue a license where appropriate. The Division staff also includes investigators, responsible for investigating those who may be violating Utah laws or rules. We will discuss the disciplinary options available to the Division later. The Division is overseen by the Director of the Division. The Director of the Division is appointed by the Executive Director of the Department of Commerce. The appointment must be approved by the Governor of Utah. While the Director is a political appointee, they are a full-time state employee responsible for all operations of the Division, including staffing and budgeting. The Director serves at the pleasure of the Governor. As we mentioned previously, the Division regulates the mortgage and appraisal industries in addition to the real estate industry. Each industry has its own regulatory panel, which works with the Division in administering and enforcing the applicable rules and laws. The panel, which works with the Division in administering the laws and the rules for the appraisal industry, is the Utah Real Estate Appraiser Licensing and Certification Board. The mortgage equivalent is the Utah Residential Mortgage Regulatory Commission. The Utah Real Estate Commission is a regulatory body which works with the Division of Real Estate staff in administering and enforcing the laws and rules affecting the real estate industry. Before we delve into the details of the Real Estate Commission, let's discuss what we mean when we refer to laws and rules. Law versus rule. We have mentioned several times the Division's responsibility for administering and enforcing the laws and rules. You may ask why we waste the words and mention both. The 2 terms actually have distinct differences which are important to recognize. What is a law? Real estate laws are actually passed by the Utah legislature, which meets once a year for 45 days beginning in January. Sometimes the laws are also referred to as statutes. Often, special sessions are called during other times of the year. Real estate laws follow the regular legislative procedure that all laws must follow before being passed. While the legislature is responsible for passing the laws, they cannot possibly be responsible for enforcing the laws they pass. Therefore, any law passed contains a provision for enforcement, usually granting some governmental agency or body the authority to enforce the law. In the case of real estate laws, the legislature has granted the authority to enforce the laws to the Division. Laws and statutes also typically do not contain the detail necessary to enforce or administer the law. For example, Utah Code Section 61-2 contains the law which requires those participating in the real estate industry to have a Utah real estate license. However, many of the details in regards to actually obtaining the license are absent from the law. The legislature grants the Division of Real Estate authority to enact rules to fill in the details necessary to effectively enforce and administer the law or statute. The rulemaking authority and process is limited to the parameters and specifications set forth in the statute. The differences between statute and rule carry some interesting implications for enforcement. For example, the statute states that sales agent licensing course may not exceed 120 hours. If the division wants to implement a 200-hour sales agent licensing course, they do not have the authority to do so. The statute or law would need to be changed by the legislature.